It certainly feels manic with all the distortion and all, but I don't know. It doesn't have to be negative or violent, really.
The truth is, they hate you. And they'll never stop hating you. Till the day you drop dead.
Never stop the trot, I skip the hot blocks, spit the cough drops, crop the letterbox, walking around in Walmart Crocs, little bunny hops, talking like I had a tab, carry half a bag, call my man a fag, but I am not a man in drag. Estrogen I rub into my leg, and I keep them fed. Never speak to feds, drinking all the lead, tend to hit my head, eat me sleepy bed. What did you forget to get? Wanna make a bet? Whipper up the tripper set. When I'm off the red horse, you gotta look again. Now suddenly open next. How'd you like to eat your friends? Wanna beat a dead horse till it revives again? Or shall we let it end? I wanna live again. I wanna demail me to myself and then experience again. Yeah. We gotta make a friend. Stretch the flesh over a cactus and hug it in. Call it a lesbian. This one's for me.
Kind of like Frosty the Snowman, but like with the cactus suit.
It's a God won't leave me alone. 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 Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, slurping girl, dick, cock, slop, shit show, bitch, oh, rock, flop, butt plug, fuck, thug, non-stop. Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, slurping girl, dick, cock, slop, shit show, bitch, oh, rock, flop, butt plug, fuck, thug, non-stop.
God won't leave me alone. 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 God won't leave me alone.
What's up, everybody? Coming in from all sides. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I haven't streamed for the last few nights because I got a big fucking headache from Twitch. Twitch suddenly was like, you don't have a stream key anymore. And I was like, why? And it's because I didn't have a phone number hooked up. There was nothing to tell me that. I just kind of deduced it eventually because it's the only thing that I didn't have on my account was a phone number hooked up. It's because my phone's already hooked up to another Twitch account. I don't know which one. No idea. Couldn't figure out what Twitch account has the phone number so that I could allow it to have another. You could just press a button that's like, let this phone number be used on another account. I don't know what account has the fucking phone number. So I had to have Bird go into his account to click that button so I could use his phone number to bring my Twitch back. So now I have a stream key again. But for the last few nights, I was out camping, and at first I couldn't even identify the problem, and I just gave up. I was like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. I already got kicked off of YouTube. Now I got to deal with Twitch. Back on Twitch. I'm assuming that it was a 30 days thing, because when I go into Twitch, here, I'll show y'all my Twitch stats, which at present, if you're not planning to send me any super chats, I would prefer you would use Twitch, because I just need the viewership on here. On YouTube, the viewership does nothing for me in particular. But but on Twitch there's a shot, because as you'll see, in terms of becoming a Twitch, what the fuck is the phrase I'm looking for? Where's the goddamn everything? The phrasing of everything on Twitch, which is always like achievements and like you're becoming more of a cult leader every day and all this kind of shit, and it's really weird. It's a really weird like culture. Where the fuck? Here we go. Achievements. Yeah. Path to affiliate, right? So I've clobbered the first three things, but because of the fact that I have streamed on 27 different days, and for most of those, there was nobody watching on Twitch. It was only people watching on YouTube. The ratio is fucked up. And I've only done like 3 nights on Twitch until suddenly my stream key was gone. And so I'm thinking it was like a 30 days thing. Like maybe I made the account 30 days ago. My new mic? What are you talking about, Lapucia? Do I sound like shit? Am I on the wrong microphone? No, I'm on the correct microphone, it says. Is it doing that shit where it goes every once in a while? Yeah, that's a problem with my mic being old, not new. I've had this fucking thing for a decade. I have no idea what causes it. I've looked into it. You know, I listened back to the problem so I know what it is. And holy fuck, it's mad intense. And if I had to bet, I would say maybe it's the cable, the XLR cable. Let me know if me fucking with this is making it happen more, or like, because if this is accelerating it, can you still even hear me? Okay, it still seems like it. Is this making it worse? Is this making it worse? It happened just now. Let me angle the camera in a way where you can see what I'm doing better. All right. Move the beers. Okay. So, all right. Let's work on this together, right? So, here's the full situation. You've got an Audio-Technica AT4040 that has been carried around in the side of a backpack for about 5 years. On top of, I owned it for 5 before that. So all of that's true of everything in this rig except the Focusrite is fairly new because I had to replace my original one because it was having a similar problem. But that one, the old one, oh, look at that. That doesn't look plugged in all the way. Could that be part of the issue? The old one used like this old style of cord that's not used anymore. This one just uses a regular USB-C that goes into a USB, regular USB. I'll show you the front end of that so you can see. I don't really think these buttons do anything meaningful. If that stopped it, maybe that was a part of the problem, but I've pressed those on and off and I've never really found they do anything meaningful. The red one has to be on. That's the power button. But then you'll see that connecting them is this cable. This is the XLR cable. And it does have some kinks in it. Maybe if I got all the kinks out, it would be better. That's what she said. Because it's like a 15-foot XLR cable. And it does have a few places where it's a little tangled. Is me playing with this doing anything to the audio? Like, is this making anything worse happen? All right. I'm gonna unplug the microphone for a second and get all the kinks out. And in the meantime, I'll play you another new song. Super queer, yeah.
Super queer. Trixie. Looking for a fight, you'll have to find me in the forest in Northside, Norfolk, Ward's Corner, near the water of the James. Rolling with some former orphans, eating oranges and peeling off a cheap forest. It's the Prius gang. Present you with the choice like Morpheus. I could prevent the pain, or it's the pill that makes the game feel sane. DMX, DMing it, D&D. Do you really fucking feel me? Hour after hour, I'll be found devouring defenseless and cowardly deep senses is souring how they step to me. You see, I'm short in the views, and deep in the views, so winning and views. The men sevenfold of reviews. Stupid red heaven folk, I'm a devil bitch, reveling in my relative relevance. Elephant light with the depth of my remembrance. I went through some temperances as well as certain severances. Serving consecutive sentences, my corrective lenses come from driver's windshield. I went through and before heal. Don't conceal, no blow, I made no deal. Been slow on the uptake, feel but I should have been fake. But fucking at least I'm great. When I step in the place, I bring damages to the surface of the planet. When I burn this work, taken for granted. Legendary being, guys forever seeing. Spreading beats, talking to places you would never believe. Who would ever conceive of this freakish demeanor? And demeanor abilities. When you hear it scream, it's the Buster Beam from Virginia Beach in the Hampton streets, clamping to your teeth. Looking for a fight, you'll have to find me in the forest in Northside, Norfolk, Ward's Corner, near the water of the James. Roll up with some former orphans, eating oranges and peeling off the cheap forest in the Prius gang. Present you with a choice like Morpheus. I could prevent the pain, or it's the pill that makes the game feel sane. DMX, DMing and D&D, yeah. Do you really fucking feel me? Are you sure you wanna feel me? Don't you sorta wanna feel me? Are you sure you wanna feel me? Don't you sorta wanna feel me? High-powered psychopath, I write no trash for unreleased tracks along with their discographies. My discography is longer than biographies. I am obviously your modern Diogenes. Lord of the flies and fleas and queen of the killer bees and only ducking the bees. I know pills, I pound the leaders. Smoke, fake, wake and shake, break it in. Oh. Down the earth and scream and play. This is the most important thing. And every day that you forget to do it is a fucking waste. Pound the earth and scream and play. This is the most important thing. And every day that you forget to do it is a fucking waste. Baseline lifted, half cock shifted gears, super queer in the building. Sweep legs, eat lead. He said, she said. Oops, you scared me for a second. Now your friend is dead. On my second death, that's my third life. Searching for symbols in my face. We call them extra lives. You said what ups, maybe continues. Extra guys, if you know my YouTube influences. In the trenches with Ego Raptor. On the fences about the rapture. Okay, my baby, better go capture. Hey! Running to the field. Feeling so revealed. First banana peel.
Look what I revealed. How is it?
Super queer. Trixie.
Can you hear me again? Am I good in the audio? So far, so good. It's just a countdown. This is like what The Boys is like from season 3 onward. Is at all times you're just like, when's Homelander gonna show up and just kill somebody? Like that's how it feels about the static. It's like a Lovecraftian level threat of like, I want to chill. I want to be having a nice time. Doesn't seem to have fixed the buzz, Ellen says. Damn. It happened. See if turning it down a little helps. Let's turn down the recording volume a little. Maybe it's just peaking. Maybe it's just too loud. Accepting super chats, absolutely. Although, if you would like me to receive all of the money, I always encourage everyone. Golden Witch Fire on Cash App and Venmo. I'm like loading it up as though there would already be money there, but I'm like, I think there's a way I can show you like a scanner code, and then you just put that in, and it's like, bam, there's money in my hand. Yeah, there you go. Scan. Venmo me. Yeah, there you go. That thing. Oh, come on, camera. Focus on it. Ultimate. Look at that picture of me smoking a fucking cigar at Devil's Backbone Brewing Company. That's my I make money photo, even though it's like a $7 cigar, which clearly suggests I don't make money, but I look cool in it. I didn't get to interview for the Lolcow show. Keem never made it to me. I don't know if he knew I was there or campaigning. I would think so, because I spent like 5 hours before the show nonstop talking about the fact that I would be doing it, especially to the chat of the show itself. And I was very clear that I wanted in. But once the show actually started, I was watching everyone else. I was letting everybody else have their space. I waited a while before I even threw in my candidacy. I wanted to see Billy the Fridge. I just wanted to see his appearance before I even jumped in, because he was the only person who I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do better than Billy. I saw Billy's appearance and I was like, I don't know how serious Billy is actually about doing this, but I think I would have by far done a better pitch than any of them did. Lolcow Live is lame, you say. I had never actually really watched it. Do a GoFundMe for a new mic, Gary says. I mean, if I could afford a new mic, I'd just fucking buy one. I mean, do it. I guess I could do a GoFundMe for that specifically. Yes, we could do that. I don't know if people are more interested in buying me a new microphone there and paying me to watch whatever video they want. Leaf Blady, you can donate for a video if you want to do it through Venmo. I'm down. You don't think it's the mic? Yeah, I mean, it could be the XLR cable. It could be the cable that connects the actual Focusrite to the computer. It could be the Focusrite, which would really suck, because I've already had to. This is like a newer one, that I already replaced the old one like a year and a half ago. I doubt it's the Focusrite. If she doesn't GoFundMe for a new bike, she'll just use the money to buy weed. Well, I mean, that's normally what I would do. Currently, I am on a weed sabbatical for the month of August. This doesn't necessarily mean that I haven't smoked any weed in the month of August, but I haven't bought any weed in the month of August, and I don't intend to. I don't know what lengths this is going to lead to me going to get my hands on weed without having to spend money on it. Time will tell. Did we keep going with Simoon? Simp for Gwyn. I did complete the Simoon group watch over on Twitch. I think that VOD is still up. I hope. Because I only get like 7 days until I'm an affiliate. Then once I'm an affiliate, I get 2 weeks instead of 1 week, I guess. And then you get like a month when you're a partner, I think. Where do I go to look at my fucking VODs? I know so little about Twitch. I always forget to raid at the end of the thing. Do not let me forget to raid. Lapusha, I know you're usually on top of this. Please remind me to raid before it's over. YMS is on right now, so I could definitely raid YMS at the end of this if he's still going. I cannot remember what the fuck I'm looking for. I'm looking for my VODs. Where do I find my fucking VODs? Can I not look at them while I'm live or something? Am I an idiot? Am I looking directly at it? This is my stream page, right? Oh, I'm not all the way on my stream page. I see. I'm on like a different. This is how little comprehension I have of this website. I've truly never used it as like I've used it plenty of times as a person who is making Twitch streams. I've never used it as an end user. Just because anybody who I follow has been on YouTube except for pretty much Adam. And I've always felt like I had enough YMS content on YouTube because he makes so many reviews. So Simoon Group Watch episodes 20 to 26 is on Twitch. We actually got to watch it full screen on Twitch with no, I don't think the audio is fucked on this. I think it's all there. I think you can literally just watch it without having to download shit on this one. So that's why, like, if I was doing a group watch tonight, I would just stream. I would not stream on YouTube. Like I said, I wasn't going to stream on YouTube at all anymore. That's until I'm like at least an affiliate on Twitch. It's really not that feasible for me to not stream on YouTube at all while I have the ability, which I didn't for the last week. But I'm definitely not going to do any fucking group watches here. I don't want to have to make you all download shit. I don't want to have to watch it all tiny. This is the fun way to do it. It's not really content that needs to exist in perpetuity necessarily, but you can save these. I downloaded these VODs. That one Lucario fan actually edited the I haven't uploaded this yet, but I'm going to. Fuck it, we'll start it now. Since I'm remembering. That one Lucario fan edited the first 7. We ended up watching 7 episodes of where the fuck did I download this? Copyright safe Brigadoon, Marin, and Melon. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so we'll call this Brigadoon, Marin, and Melon Group Watch. It's actually 1 to 7. Because we did not go all the way. Because I was really upset. Because this actually wasn't even on Twitch. This was a Twitter stream. Because this was after the Twitch shit was already fucking up. I am in the side channel right now. Oh yeah, I should watch. I guess I should put this on We Watch Anime because it is literally us watching anime. There's no reason to put it here. Good point. I always forget that if we're watching anime, that's watching anime. I'm very pure with this channel in this one way. I don't even like that this video is here. This I will no longer stream on YouTube. Like I was forced to put this here because, and now this is just a lie. So let's just go ahead and unlist this. That'll still be in the every YouTube video featuring the Golden Witch playlist, but that doesn't really need to be on the channel, especially if it's lying. And let's start uploading Brigadoon. I gotta get the chat back open on my phone. For some reason, the second monitor I normally use, which is just my mom's second monitor, is just not communicating with my laptop tonight. I don't know why. Something's always technically wrong and never for any clear reason. Like it's always like I didn't change anything. All the buttons are the same, All right, Leaf Blady cannot use Venmo because of mobile access, but we're gonna be watching. Hold on, let me put your thing on screen. I'm gonna watch some Mystere Fusion once I'm done fucking setting up this upload real quick. We'll say edited by that one Lucario fan and more Trixie. Unless you'd rather be credited differently, just let me know. Yes, I type out the link tree every single time. I've gotten very used to it. Because of the fact that when I do those vertical streams on mobile, it's more of a hassle to go open it and then copy and paste it than it is to just type out that little link. Group watch. I guess I should probably credit you as Aura Luna because that's what I called you in the video, right? Like that was what was in the advertising. So I think it would make more sense to go with that. So we'll say edited by Aura. And then, but I don't know. Which channel do you prefer to have linked though? Like what do you consider your main channel? I guess that one, Lucario fan, is easier to search for. Yeah, better search engine optimization because it's a
This
more
video
unique
is the story-
phrase. So we'll go with that. Seems to be where the views are too, but you know, this by linking to that while calling you this, it creates that sensation of, oh, this is the same person. I understand the connected lore. Maybe I'm overthinking it. What is this stream? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but we're gonna be watching a video very shortly because Leaf Blady gave me some money to do so. And but right now I'm just uploading this anime group watch that we did on Twitter the other day because I couldn't stream to Twitch or YouTube at the time. And Aura Luna went ahead and edited it until it was copyright passable for YouTube so that everybody can watch it and enjoy it, and then they'll be able to watch the next group watch with us because they'll understand what's happening when it happens on Friday. We'll start from episode 8, so it won't be confusing for anyone. That's what I like. Stuff that's not confusing for anyone. Unlike every other aspect of my career and life. Not if the less confusing I can make whatever I'm doing, the better it's going to work for me, I think. I don't know if, watching content is confusing to people. Gotank's a failure of discipline. Okay. Right, that's uploading. Gotank's a failure of discipline. All right.
Welcome back to Dragon Ball Dissection. I hope you enjoyed our little detour into animated material, but that's over now. Am I back to the manga already? Yeesh. Feels like I've been gone forever, but like I never left. Time has no meaning, which is good when the story is about to take place in a room that has made time its bitch. Last we left off, Majin Buu had made his way to God's temple and demanded a fight against Gotenks. There's something I forgot to mention last time, or rather I didn't forget to mention it, I forgot that it was still relevant, so I guess you could say I forgot to forget when I chose to omit it, but now I'm not because omitting it wasn't as redundant as I had thought.
Oh,
I'd
boy.
say this will all make sense in a moment, but I barely understand any of that myself. Let me just start over. Given how much of a fuss I made in the Cell arc over Bluma's regular old rocket ship defying the power of God, I think there were at least a few of you curious why I didn't even mention Buu doing the same thing. Well, that's because I figured since I'd already covered that, there was no use in dwelling on it.
Plague on Humanity asking, how much would it cost to do your history from the fall of PCP4? Do you mean as like a request? Like if you wanted to... Like, are you basically offering to buy a vlog? Because I am interested in doing that. And, fuck, I don't know, $50. I would do like hours. It would be, I would do like, a lecture length of just ranting, I guess. But I could do that. It would be worth it for me for $50. Cash App or Venmo.
I had forgotten that I had let that earlier instance off a bit easy. rationalizing that perhaps she was able to bypass the temple's stated protections due to there being no god to enforce them. I said I'd overlook it in this one instance because surely, if this was attempted while there was an active god, things would not go well for the perpetrator. So now I have just one thing to say. Hey Dende, you're useless. Oh, also you grow very slowly and randomly change sizes and outfits. See, I didn't forget about that either. I just didn't have anything to say about it. It seems as though
I honestly
Toriyama
always
has
forget about
completely forgotten
Dende.
there is anything special or mystical about this temple other than it being really high, which hasn't really served as a hurdle in years.
I know something about
To be
being
fair,
really
the temple's
high.
protections are
Yeah.
only ever alluded to once, never seen. They're hardly a significant part of the story, so their omission is not a pronounced fault. But it is a missed opportunity, especially given how most of the cast have come here to take refuge from Boo. Just think how exciting it would have been to have finally seen those defenses in action for the first time, only for them to fall to Majin Buu's overwhelming power and magic. I mean, I'd have no problem with Boo reaching the temple as long as there is a narrative justification, or at least acknowledgement of it. The fictional rules are important, sure, but good storytelling is more important. Having Boo come here is the right move. Just give me something here. At Boo's insistence, Piccolo leads him to the
Well,
Room of
that's a
Spirit and
weird
Time.
picture of Boo.
The others wonder if Piccolo intends to fight in the room, leading Dende to postulate that if worst comes to worst,
Yeah, like
Piccolo
kind
can
of an
destroy the
Earthworm
entrance
Jim
and
look
trap
to
them
him.
inside forever. In that event, the heroes can be revived with the Dragon Balls. No mention of the whole Namek conundrum about people coming back to life where they died. They already know they can use another wish to move bodies around, and that's assuming Dende can't just immediately give them their bodies in the afterlife. As I've established, though, I tend to question if Dende has any god powers aside from make Dragon Balls, which isn't even a god power to begin with. Have I mentioned lately that making Dende god was
It
a
sounds
really
like a
stupid
god
idea?
Power.
Anyway, fighting in the Room of Spirit
But
and
what did he mean by that? Like that it's not a god power anyway. Like why not? Is there like a rule there that I'm not understanding about what is or isn't a god power in Dragon Ball?
Time is exactly what Piccolo was thinking, and he's no fool. While he is forcing Goten and Trunks to finish their training early, he is purposely leading Boo on a very indirect route to buy as many seconds as he possibly can. I love the part where he tells Boo that the room is at the very bottom, only for Boo to counter they just went up.
Amy Talks Annie with 50 Rial suddenly screams, "I lied, you fools! It was my prologue all along!" Mwah! What were you lying about, though? I don't. Are you saying that the 2 chapters of your book that we've read are now have been turned into a prologue? Is that what this is? Is that what this is about? I have no idea what you're talking about. You're talking about me coming back to YouTube that I lied about that? You're too esoteric. I can't understand you.
Piccolo explains, "Oh, that's just how you get there." Meanwhile, Goten and Trunks have been
Be it
training. To tease the
please.
audience, we start the scene right after they've demonstrated a major breakthrough, so we don't get to see what they're talking about. They've gone beyond, to some kind of ultra super saiyan, but whatever it is, they can only sustain it for 5 minutes. It even cancels out their fusion. That it burns through time should make it pretty obvious what they've discovered, but it's an enticing tease nonetheless. Attaining the ultimate power, though, isn't exciting enough for Trunks. He suggests they put off using it until the last possible moment, just to make it a bit more dramatic. And you immediately understand they're going to completely screw everyone over. At that point, Piccolo reaches out to them telepathically to inform them that he's on the way. He can't buy more than 1 minute, but since that will be
Okay.
6 hours for
Okay,
them,
I'm-
they should go
I'm
ahead and
seeing-
rest up.
I am now able to. Don't worry, it's in my Discord. God damn it, Amy, you're talking to me on 3 different. Amy sent the super chat on YouTube. And then on Twitch said last stream I said I was going to make you read a prologue, but that it wasn't going to be mine. Don't worry, kitten. It's on your Discord. So now I go over to the Discord app. This is all because my second monitor is not working for me. I don't know what Let me show you this fucking problem here. Normally, the camera is sitting on this monitor, and I've got the stream chat open over there, and my Discord open over there, and fucking everything open over there, and I'm watching all the shit on this laptop. So hence why I'm always kind of looking down, because I'm looking down at this laptop. This is my mom's computer, by the way. That I suppose this is her second monitor for, but I'm usually the one using it. Anyway.
I like the paneling on this page, showing Goten and Trunks asleep immediately prior to Piccolo opening the door. Are they going to be ready in time? How tense! It's not even a stylistic cheat to present them in this way. You know how the animated series shows Goku helpless and screaming the instant before Planet Namek explodes? It's a bit of a cheat, albeit an understandable one. It's more dramatically satisfying than literally plausible to reconcile with his escape. But in this case, the time dilation makes it entirely logical that the boys could be asleep just before Piccolo opens the door, but also ready and waiting by the time he enters. It's just one of those cool little things made possible by this fantasy idea, and I'm glad Toriyama plays into it a little bit. Knowing that almost makes me wish Toriyama had played with this next bit too. Opening the door. We've never experienced the perspective of people inside the room witnessing the door open from the outside. The manga...
Tis Ideas guy on Twitch, he says, one thing some multi-streamers do is have a stream chat on screen with both Twitch and YouTube channels merged with little icons next to the message so you can tell what platform it came from. So what I've got here, we're streaming through StreamYard. So I have that here. Which ordinarily, again, this would be on my other monitor and I'd be reading this. I don't know if there's a way for me to present this to you, though. Like, there's no button on here that says, like, add chat to screen. I got a lot of custom layouts. But, none of them puts chat on screen. Now, what I could do... Let's see here. I think there's a way for me to pop the chat out, right? Maybe? Pop out chat. There is no pop out for this version of chat, it looks like. That's pretty annoying. Yeah, so I don't know, like a convenient... I mean, I could do one of these. This is the best I could give you. Is like this. And then if I'm over here, then you get like that. But this also means you're getting... I mean, I guess with this video, you don't really need it to be that big on screen. Chat might be more interesting to have there visually.
Manga doesn't act like it's different from using any other door, but shouldn't it be? It seems
at least
clear
this lets me read the
perception
chat
of
without
time
having to
occurs
look at my
threshold
phone.
of the room. So you'd think, from Trunks' and Goten's perspectives, the opening of the door would take an incredibly long time. And considering, for the purposes of a dramatic reveal, they are literally standing there waiting for their foe to enter, this should get really boring for them. But since the tension of the moment is Piccolo's fear that the boys might not be ready, as indicated by the panels I just praised, such a gag would undermine that. Toriyama made the right choice. It's just an idea that humors me. As an aside, this
Hold on,
totally
let me get my
blows out of the
Patreon
water the
open
theory
just to
that
be
more
ready
than two
for
people
you.
are physically incapable of entering the room at the same time. It's only...
Amy's like, I'll just message you on Patreon. I'm like, I'm gonna get 3 steps ahead. There we go. I'm prepared. Wait, these can't be my direct messages. This is with my creator account. Or my not creator account. The fuck, member account. That's the one. I hate Patreon so much. Why are these separate things? Why do you need to have a separate fucking account as a creator or a member? What the fuck difference does it make? Why are there so many menus on different parts of the page? Why are there 4 different edit buttons? I feel like I've gone on this rant before, but this is such a fucking terrible website. Terrible fucking website. They need to fix this fucking website badly. I'm not even immediately sure where my fucking messages. Here we go. Messages are here. Why? Wait, what? No, this is to message everybody. Okay. So that's not messages. I like doing this. I like getting as aggravated as I can at Patreon to send a message about how frustrating it is. Like, I want them to really understand this is my user end experience. Looks like I got another $5 processed after they had sent me the money for this month rather. I literally cannot find where are my DMs. I can't find my DMs. I don't care. I don't care anymore. If you DM me, it will send me a notification, and that'll be how I am able to read it. Unironically, only way I'd be able to figure it out.
That it's stocked for 2 people to live there. Unlike a lot of potentially muddy elements and rules I've complained about this year, I fully believe that was always the intention, and that this isn't an alteration. If I'm wrong, it's still seamless enough to not be any kind of problem. Anyway, however long they might have been awkwardly standing there, the boys are ready with a rousing speech and synchronized poses. However, Majin Buu doesn't recognize transforming as a free action and smacks Trunks aside before they can complete the fusion dance. Like with the rock, paper, scissors to decide a match, this is one of those gags that the heroes have both derided and participated in. It's not as if Goku hasn't taken advantage of the same thing before. The boys do at least calm Buu down enough that they are able to get the transformation done. And so it begins.
Yes.
Toriyama says in his note for this chapter, the players in Dragon Ball are assembled, so now I plan on coming out with one special attack after another.
Well,
Look forward
shit.
to it.
That's a hell of
In
a
other
thing
words,
to say.
the series is going to largely be non-stop fighting.
Hey, I'm done writing, so now it's time for bullshit.
Until the end. Oh joy. And I know dismissive comments
Holy
like that
shit.
help fuel the idea that I just hate fighting. Amazingly, there are so many people who seem to think that. So before I jump into another long combat stretch and another long arc, let me reiterate what my position is. Generally speaking, a lengthy action set piece in a story, divorced from any context, is like fireworks. Both of them can grab my attention. I can admire the technical prowess involved. For a time, I can even find them enjoyably diverting and exciting. But eventually, I'm going to find myself looking at my watch and going, okay, I've seen this. This is loud and boring and nothing is actually happening. Can we please move on? To me, action is a flashy diversion, but it's meaningless if it's not furthering plot or character. 2018's Broly movie is a perfect example of this.
Sorry, I just realized I was on the wrong.
And taking
account,
advantage of the
and
same
I wanted to
was
switch
fear
it.
that the boys might not be.
Fuck, how far in was I just now?
And it's not even a stylistic cheat. We start the scene right after they demonstrate Day God was a really stupid up. Could be at the same time.
Where the
It's
fuck?
Trunks aside. Look forward to it.
Okay,
Jump
here we
into
go.
another long combat stretch and another long arc. It's like that help fighting until the end.
Start from
Oh
here.
joy. And I know dismissive comments like that help fuel the idea that I just hate fighting. Amazingly, there are so many people who seem to think that. So before I jump into another long combat stretch and another long arc, let me reiterate
Ellen, I
what
will
my
always
position
find
is.
the most bootleg
Generally
way
speaking,
to
a lengthy
do
action set piece in a
whatever
story
it
divorced
is,
from
I
any
promise.
context is like fireworks. Both of them can grab
Doing
my
things
attention.
properly
I
tends
can
to be
admire the technical
frustrating
prowess involved.
and
For a
time-consuming.
time, I can even
Doing
find them
things
enjoyably
ghetto.
diverting and exciting.
Mm.
But eventually, I'm going to find myself looking at my watch and going, okay, I've seen this. This is loud and boring and nothing is actually happening. Can we please move on? To me, action is a flashy diversion, but it's meaningless if it's not furthering plot or character. 2018's Broly movie is a perfect example of this. It has a first half I greatly enjoyed, with characters and storytelling I was quite invested in. Then the story slammed on the brakes so that Roid Rage could fight Goku and Vegeta for what felt like forever. And I don't remember any of it except for the moment where Frieza kills Paragus, because that was really funny. The fighting should be a conduit for the story, not self-indulgent for its own sake. I love the lightsaber fight in The Empire Strikes Back, both because it's an exciting fight and because of the internal struggle it represents. In The Owl House, the dance choreography Luce and Amity perform to defeat the Grom is top-notch, but I care because of how it represents the deepening of their relationship. And it's not like Dragon Ball hasn't accomplished both. How many times have I praised the fights of the Saiyan arc for presenting meaningful grief, furthering Gohan's character development, and using Goku and Vegeta to
Ideas
represent
guy,
nature
if I get a
versus
rant
nurture.
request for
The
Peggy
story
album, I'll
is
probably
told
talk
through the
about
fights.
it, but
It
I
doesn't
don't,
stop for the fights.
I don't know
When
if anybody.
DB fights drag
but
for
now
me, it's
you
when they're
cares.
so long they all start to blend together, when the spectacle
When I talk
outweighs the
hip-hop, people
substance,
tend to
and when
tune
Toriyama
out.
uses most of them as fake-outs, failures to which a lot of time is devoted, but that ultimately help in no significant way at all. On a completely
I have
unrelated
no idea
note,
how long the
Go
Fixed
Tanks.
360 stream will be.
I
but
feel he is
probably
considered a
long.
divisive character. Despite my withering sarcasm and literally everything else I just said, I absolutely love him. This is actually one of my favorite fights in this story arc. Hell, it's among my favorites in the series. It's played entirely for comedy. While some people don't care for that, I think it's great. The characters involved are fun with a wonderful set of dynamics and personalities. This panel alone represents the best utilization of Piccolo in years. Seeing him constantly bickering with his stupid protege is infinitely more interesting than him getting a power-up that accomplishes nothing.
My
This new
God.
Boo demonstrates
I've just received $50 that says, for the history rant, thanks for being an artistic influence on me for basically all of my life. Well, I mean, first of all, I apologize because you probably were too young to be watching my content whenever you got into it, if you're saying basically all of my life. And second of all, thank you. I will very happily make a history rant. Everything from... I mean, I've been planning to make a video called The Rise, Fall, and Death of Digibro for a long time. But that would kind of all transpire before this. You're basically asking for the life of Trixie the Golden Witch. So maybe it would be more like Trixie, life after Digibro's death or something like that. I'll work on it. I'll make an outline for this because I tend to fucking ramble, and when I get too rambly and it ends up going on for like hours and I lose my train of thought, I end up throwing it away. So I got to make like an actual outline and try to stick to that of like, what are the talking points? What matters? Probably record that tomorrow morning. And it'll be fun. So yeah, thank you. Ellen says, I think the only thing the fixed Trixie stream is going to accomplish is breaking everyone else. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, that's obviously my best case scenario is I convince everyone that my mind is steel, made of steel and rubber, and yours is made of glass and bullshit. And so everyone's attempts to psychotherapize me will end up leading to them begging me to psychotherapize them instead. Like, wait, maybe I need your help. It's the ultimate reverse psychology experiment. Can you convince me I'm crazy and to change myself before I convince you that you're crazy and need to change yourself? And I'm going to have a really easy argument to make, which is like, you're calling into my show. So already, baseline, you're like as twisted as I am, like full stop. So, you're going to have to work from that baseline of, I already think you're insane. You're trying to talk to me on the internet. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's tomorrow at 6:00 p.m. Probably on all 3 channels, just because I want as many people as possible to watch it. And it's a call-in show. So basically, tomorrow, if you want to call in, express your interest to me. Because on StreamYard, I can have, I think, 9 or 10 people at a time that I'm allowed to add into the back room. And then one at a time. I'll have to remove people and bring new people in. If I go over 10, I assume I'll have more than 10. I know I'll have more than 10 people who want to call. It's just a question of how many people will I have time for before it's literally midnight and I need bed, But 6 p.m. tomorrow, it's a call-in show. How will the call-ins work? So I'll show you how StreamYard works. It's very simple. I'll click this button that says invite. I would click it right now, but it would just literally put a link on screen that I will give that link to whoever's supposed to be on the show. And you will show up like this. You'll be one of these little boxes down here, but you'll be grayed out. Here, I can show you this. It's going to take me... I'm not going to be able to talk while I do this, but look at the screen after I click. So that's going to be you. You're going to be a little grayed out box that says add to screen on you. And then when I click add to screen, you'll be in here, and then everybody will be able to hear you and see you if you have video. I'm not going to force people to have video, but you should. It'll make you more entertaining. And I'll know who the fuck you are, unless your goal is to avoid that. But yeah, so you'll be down here. You'll be able to hear me before I add you in, but I won't be able to hear you until I add you in. But yeah, it'll be through StreamYard, and then once you're in, it's just gonna tell you, like, it's just gonna say, hey, is this your mic? Is this your camera? You're gonna say yes. You don't have to make an account or anything. It's literally just if you have the link, you're in. So you just have to let me know. Now, I'm going to advise you maybe make at least a little bit of a pitch. I mean, you can try to surprise me. If you're trying to throw a curveball, you don't want me to know too much, that's fine. But if you find, you could even just say that you don't want to let me know, but like some kind of pitch. Again, it's going to be a little competitive. I have to ultimately pick a first 9 people. Somebody has to be my first choice. So we'll see who makes themselves seem like the obvious choice. Okay, back to watching this video. I'm sorry I keep interrupting it, but I'm excited about this show. Lapusha, what you're pitching is... Yeah, let me bring the fucking ad out real quick. Since none of y'all are on goddamn Twitter, which is where I spend all of my day every day. I know it's a big waste of time because none of y'all are there and you're my audience. But Fix Trixie, the unlicensed therapy live show in which the audience attempts to psychologically manipulate the host, Trixie the Golden Witch. First episode, August 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. By the way, this is my schedule, if you didn't know. The day after tomorrow is, of course, Golden Witch Wednesday. Now, you may note that the week after that, it's not on Wednesday, it's on Tuesday. I'm going to start reminding you of this now because a lot of people are going to forget, even though it says 8/13 right here. They're going to think that was a typo. No, I'm leaving town on Wednesday. I cannot do this on Wednesday next week, so it's going to be Tuesday, which is why there will not be a second episode of Fix Trixie that Tuesday. I also want to give that show a little time to breathe. I don't think it's going to be every single week. I don't think I could deal with callers every single week. I've missed the first Shantae stream, and then tonight I would have done it, but frankly, I don't know what I just decided, you know what? I can beat Shantae in like 2 streams probably. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. Brigadude, we did 1 through 7 in the first episode, so it's actually going to be 8 through whatever we get to on the 9th with Lucario fan. And anyway, yeah, tomorrow night, Fix Trixie. This is my stream schedule. It's pinned to my Twitter. You can always find it on my Twitter. I have no reason to pin anything else. Trixie is America. Unbelievable amount of agreement here. I think she's so cool. Wow, amazing. Look at all this lovely stuff going on my Twitter. Do you ever open Twitter and people are just talking about how cool you are? That's what my life is like. I don't know about y'all. This is how I'm going to become president one day, I think. Anyway,
demonstrates he can be just as playful and dangerous as his fat predecessor. The sequence doesn't go on long enough to overstay its welcome. The fighting is as inventive as the series at its best. Yes, this is ultimately going to amount to absolutely nothing, but apparently even I have a fireworks show I can enjoy on its own merits. This one small section in isolation squeaks by with a win based on charm and character.
Ooh.
Check back in with me later, though. Gotenks is hilariously infuriating. Trunks already laid out their self-defeating strategy in the earlier scene. Gotenks is more interested in looking cool than he is fighting well. And that deception is indeed going to screw them over when Piccolo takes his drama at face value and makes good on Dende's conjecture of destroying the door.
It'll be after this video.
I can accept Gotenks' stupid actions because he's a child. Piccolo is entrusting the fate of the world to two young children, and they are acting like two young children, only more so because of the fusion. It's much more palatable here.
I think I mentioned this when we were watching the last Mysterio Fusion video, but I remember I assume that maybe partially Leaf Blady chose these videos because of what I had mentioned were like the parts of this arc I really remember being like after Videl got her ass kicked, I kind of stopped paying attention for a bit. And then I liked the bit with Hercule and Boo. And then I kind of stopped paying attention until all the fusion stuff, and particularly Gotenks. And part of that is like, when I was a kid, I didn't like look up to protagonists that were older than me or like supposed to be a vision of what I would be like when I would grow up, because I had the mentality that I would never grow up. I would be a Toys R Us kid, you know? I resented the notion that one day I was going to be attracted to girls or not interested in toys or watching something other than cartoons. So to me, becoming an adult just seemed like becoming a liar and and losing track of your sense of self, and just not a thing that interested me. So I liked stories that had young characters who reminded me of myself. Naruto hit me a lot harder than DBZ did when it finally came along, because it's the same kind of story, but the characters are twinks and they're 12 like me. But Gotenks is like, even though he's like a swole little kid, and he was probably around my age at the time that this arc was happening. And I thought Trunks and Goten were cute, and them fused is cute, and he's fun. It was cool to see, like, because Gohan was always kind of like the proud warrior, like he started off as like a wimpy crybaby, but he became like, I'm not going to let you down kind of thing. And like, I don't know, that personality never resonated with me, but Gotenks is like a brat, so I was like, okay, I like this. This is the cool kid. Not really somebody I would project onto as much as like a kid my age that I would probably want to hang out with, think was cool.
Here than it is with Vegeta. Look, I know, but it keeps being a useful comparison. It may not seem like it sometimes, but jump back to my 2015 to 2017 videos. I actually really do like Vegeta a lot, just when I think he's written well. But at his worst, he's a brooding jackass. At least Gotenks is a fun jackass. If anything, this proves my point all the more. We see here that Vegeta literally has the same level of maturity as a 7 and 8-year-old. The other point of contrast is that Vegeta's attacks and strategies become such generic, blunt instruments. Given what a scheming tactician he can be, it's especially frustrating to see Vegeta become such a head-on key spammer in the latter parts of the series. Well, Gotenks has awesome moves. The Galactica Donut is straight up one of the smartest attacks in the series, encircling an opponent in a ring of ki and attempting to crush him with it. That's brilliant! Even crazier is the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, where he creates multiple sentient ghosts in his own image that explode on contact. I have no idea how that's supposed to work. I definitely care a little.
Well, hey, shout out Plague on Humanity for being here and who drew the cow Sona. That has become my It's now my permanent Twitter avatar because once you've been verified, which I didn't realize that becoming a premium user would automatically give me a blue check. But once you've been blue checked, you'll like lose it if you change anything about your profile, I think. So I think this is now my permanent Twitter profile, which is perfect. I'm glad I got it all exactly where I wanted it before I did that. Elect me in 2028, and I will be president of the United States. You know what? I need to remember. I keep thinking about doing this and forgetting, like most things, to make that my new desktop background so that every single time I stream, you're constantly reminded. Oh God, I don't know where I put that image. Anime videos. It's always a gamble of one of the folders on my desktop that isn't hardcore or pornography probably has whatever I'm looking for. It's usually not B-phone either. No, this is comments on comments. Chart? This is just charts. Complete episodes. That must, yeah, there we go. Complete episodes. See, the problem is that there's too much redundancy in what, well, this is, there's too much shit on my screen also. Okay, I'll toss all of this into chart for now. There's too much redundancy in what might appear in complete episodes versus anime videos. And it makes it hard to tell where the fuck shit is on my desktop. Anyway, elect me in 2028 and I will be president of the United States. I can't do it this round because I'm too young, but next round I'll be old enough, and I obviously would do an amazing job.
But it's so wonderfully charming that I can mostly
Why do I have the hardcore folder directly on my desktop? Because it's hilarious.
overlook it.
And I like to create a sense of mystery where you're always going to be wondering what's in there. You can see if the thumbnail like changes every now and then, or try to figure out like if the thumbnail is racy enough that it should be getting me blocked off YouTube, but you can't really tell.
Logic can bend to good storytelling, and this attack is the best part of this fight. Gotenks creates a whole squadron of ghosts to carry out his plans, and they are mostly competent. There are so many wonderful permutations on the humor inherent to these guys, the best of which is when their post-huddle hand slap causes two of them to explode. Gotenks is what Calvin and Hobbes would be if it was Japanese. Even his opening salvo of generic attacks all come with ridiculous over-the-top names. It's funny, but it is my one point of contention here. The joke is that Gotenks, in his supreme ego, has given amazing names to attacks that are nothing special. The payoff is that they all fail spectacularly. But remember who else...
Helen said, and it helps making us go insane because at any point you could open it by accident and get banned on all platforms. Which is very possible, likely even. How would I open it on accident? It's never happened before.
else had the same joke earlier in this arc?
Unprecedented.
Yeah, it's Mr. Satan, who gives such a long-winded name to a simple jab to the face that even he can't remember what it was. Mr. Satan is the same guy Trunks immediately pegged as a showboating simpleton. Since I don't really think this reads as Gotenks becoming so full of himself he is transformed into exactly...
I could see opening it by accident if it had some kind of coy name, but the fact that it's named hardcore pornography, like every time I see it, my brain goes, make sure you don't open that folder. That one's called hardcore pornography.
what he hates, the effect comes off as a little lazy. That is, similar to the rock, paper, scissors inconsistency, Toriyama is writing jokes just because they're funny, not because they necessarily proceed organically or consistently from character. The latter is almost always more satisfying, so while these jokes work perfectly fine, I can't help but notice this pattern. Perhaps more than anything else, I like Gotenks for what I feel he can represent. Remember that this arc opens with the promise of a next generation story.
I just keep thinking, like, the day that folder opens, this is the day we all gotta make OnlyFans accounts to keep this shit going.
Goku is gone. Most of the other main characters of Goku's inner
They
circle
won't
have been
kick me
shuffled
off.
off to obscurity.
I don't think.
New characters are introduced. Even a new Goku enters the story. Now, this isn't the first time Dragon Ball has tackled the theme of a new generation taking over. It is carried to fruition in both the 22nd Budokai arc and the Piccolo arc through the character of the Muten Roshi. In the disguise of...
There is not a softcore pornography folder, no. Although compared to a lot of pornography, what is in that folder probably would be considered softcore.
Jackie Chun, he ultimately concedes
most
against
part.
Ten Shinhan when he realizes that the next generation of young martial artists are in a good position to take over from him. This shift is realized when he sacrifices his life against Piccolo, paving the way for Goku and Ten Shinhan to step up in the final battle. This marks the realization of Uranai Baba's divination, the first of many times that Goku would save the world. What is it about that moment at the tournament, though, that causes the Muten Roshi to realize he is no longer needed? What is it that had caused him to take on this role in the first place? Well, he says it. Jackie Chun exists as a barrier for his students, an example to demonstrate that there is always someone stronger. Goku and Kuririn had exceeded his expectations, and he worried that they would become too arrogant if they believed they were the strongest.
Super Gwyn said that folder is to break glass in case of emergency of Trixie's entire career. A little bit like that.
It's only at this point
It would be a real emergency.
he decides that the facade is no longer necessary, that his students have the discipline and drive to keep them on track without his trickery. Now that same wizened master is about to die again, without any fanfare or acknowledgement, because two up-and-comers from a new generation completely lack that same discipline. I think it's eerie to consider Goten and Trunks as what Goku and Kuririn could have been. To be fair, Goten and Trunks are literal children, not independent teenagers, and they probably shouldn't have the fate of the world on their shoulders, but Gohan did, and he's only become a massive disappointment. I kid, and I've already gone through how Goten and Trunks are written differently than prior child characters in Dragon Ball. Let's just take that off the table. I like the idea of Goten and Trunks as a cautionary tale, that ego unchecked with the kinds of morality and discipline taught by Kame Sennin can have horrific results. Ultimately, the entire story arc is going to prove that both the characters and the story were making a huge mistake in passing the torch to this next generation. They're a failure.
I like this take.
Things must stay as they have been. If Goku can't do it, no one can. The end of the story inverts the
It's just proof that none of them were that amazing of parents.
beginning.
Their kids are spoiled millennials with they're nepo babies, really, like power scale nepo babies, essentially.
I think that was Toriyama's intention? No. I think he wrote it this way just because it was funny. Gotenks is a failure for the same reason Piccolo in the Frieza arc is a failure, the same reason Ten Shinhan in the Piccolo arc.
Like Gohan, while his dad may have been the man who would, prove to be the greatest Saiyan, essentially was raised without him. He was like 4 and his dad was dead and Piccolo raised him. And, then he went and became a child soldier in this big war. And there wasn't a concept of a Super Saiyan. They didn't know they were like God tier powerful. They had no conception of what they really were. But Goten and Trunks totally had that conception, and they grew up with much calmer, more domestic versions of their parents. Goten had Gohan as a 10 years older brother to help out with an understanding male presence in his life. They just were more spoiled than Gohan or Goku. They didn't have that grit. They had the power but not the discipline and the mind.
Arc is a failure. The story needs red herrings to string the audience along until
I'm up to 169 followers on Twitch. That is indeed nice.
Real solution shows itself. As I've said, I hate the reliance on such time-wasting, character-wasting fake-outs. Still, I can at least credit this section for tying this failure to an already established character flaw. Again, like Vegeta's typical role. I say all this, but with a huge, pointy celestial being falling from the sky to crush me.
Thumbnail. That will be
the asterisk of context. I am always quite wary assigning meaning and theme to a story like Dragon Ball. This is a series rather pointedly
Alan
described.
Says, gosh, I envy your ability to get that many followers so quickly. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that I have, but here's what my advice is going to be to you, Alan, to make that happen more. Advertise yourself more. I've noticed that some of y'all will go live and you don't post about it in my Discord, even though it's the most active place where anybody who would watch your videos is. Sometimes y'all tweet it, but you just tweet the link directly, even though Twitter suppresses all links. The only way you should ever link to something on Twitter is that you post an image and then in the reply, like the way Dima did it. Look at this. Hold on. I know I retweeted this several times today. Let's hope there's nothing pornographic. I don't think I retweeted any porn today. Here we go. So look at this. Friend of the show, Dima Fox Paws, right? So first of all, this is a beautiful fucking thumbnail. White text, clean font, good size. You got the depth of field photography, fursuit. If this is going to appeal to you at all, you can tell immediately. The fursuit video for Champagne Breather is out now, using these little quotations to make the title stand out from the rest of the sentence. Link below with an arrow. The arrow makes it so you don't even have to read this, but in case you don't know what that means, in case you don't instinctively know that Twitter suppresses links and therefore the link is always below, this is just telling your eyes what kind of tweet this is without you having to read that text. And then you scroll down and there's the YouTube link. Now, notice, pay very close attention. This thumbnail, 1,082 views, 7 retweets, 11 likes. The actual YouTube link, 225 views, 4 likes, 1 retweet. So that's a 1/4 turnover rate just between people who probably even liked your image and didn't even bother going all the way through to the video. Getting to the video, we've got 92 views. I know that this doesn't just come from Twitter, these 92 views, but I'm telling you that probably like at least 50 of these views came from this. And that's not nothing. But it took that much just to get that, you know? Like, so if it was less effort than that, there would be none. There would be no views from Twitter. This is the minimum to get views from Twitter. If you're not doing this much and you're posting it on Twitter, don't. You're not going to get any views because it's not shareable. If you just post the link, it's literally suppressed. Twitter suppresses all links. So you have to be separately marketing it. Now, I built all of my schedule images as 900 by 900 blocks because specifically nothing gets cut off when they're posted individually in a tweet. So I've been, for instance, and let's just post another one randomly. One I already posted, but we'll post it again. Go into chart where I made all these things, right? So Fix Trixie, right? When I post this, it's perfectly all there because it's 900 by 900. None of it gets cut off. That's the maximum size before something gets cut off. So, like, if you're understanding the formats you're working in, what is an appealing way to advertise yourself, right? Whatever you're doing. You want to get in the information in the most transmittable way possible. This one's been the most effective out of all the graphics I've done because it's a hilarious concept. You know, it's incredibly clear when it's happening and what it is. It has a funny name, and here's where it is. So, like, yeah, bam, all the info. And if I keep spamming this, there's a way higher chance people turn up to this show. So, anyway, that's my advice to all of you. You just got to go way harder on the self-promotion and retweet yourself. Like, I retweet every tweet I do that's something I did. I retweet it like 5 times a day and nobody notices. Like, nobody says anything. Nobody cares. I've asked people if they notice, like people who I know read my tweets, people who I know get notifications for my tweets. None of them notices how much I tweet. None of them notices how often I retweet myself. Just like you're so much less visible than you think you are, is what I'm trying to say. Like, unless you really try.
By Toriyama's first editor, Torishima Kazuhiko, as a work without substance.
And yes, Ellen, it would also help to actually stream instead of getting depression blasted all day. But I know something about that. All that matters there is that if you don't stream today, you stream tomorrow. If you let yourself go more than 3 days without streaming, you should really assess, do you like streaming? Just be like, do I even want to do this? Like, for me, it gets hard not to. It's like, it's such an easy satisfaction, and it can make me some money. Like, oh, I'm gonna get nonstop attention for hours, and I might get paid for some of it. Kind of like a hard deal to refuse for me, but
I'm not bothered by that description. I truly believe that was their intention, and there's nothing wrong or shameful in that. Toriyama simply has fun, and his talent.
Yeah, true. To see your stuff, I can't tell what you meant with that first one, Clippa, but daily content forever until death, says Mint. Indeed. Daily content until death.
To do so has clearly served him well. There is nothing wrong with just having fun, whether you are the creator of a work or the consumer of it. Neither do I necessarily feel hemmed in by that in a way that keeps me from considering what makes it into the story regardless of Toriyama's conscious decisions. While I think intention is important, what ends up on the page is what counts. That means the consumers of art are free to find meaning even if that was not necessarily the author's intent. It also means that I'm not going to give a story credit for failing to successfully follow through on the...
Also, Ellen, I understand not liking streaming to nobody and liking the chat interaction. It definitely helps. But I also... These days, because people expect me to be live streaming, I almost always have somebody in chat. But for the first month, that was not the case. And especially if I stream in the morning, usually people aren't there. So I usually start off by talking to the VOD viewers, because I always have considerably more VOD viewers than live viewers. So the way I look at it is like, I'm not really even talking to you guys as much as I am talking to everyone else in a way. I just don't know who those people are. I don't have the immediate feedback of them telling me who they are. So it's hard for me to interact with them even across streams unless they leave comments. But I just kind of start off the stream talking directly to future VOD viewers and letting them know where I'm at, or where this was coming from, so to speak.
Themes, plot, or characters, even if that was the author's intention. All that said, when I analyze Dragon Ball for all of you, I try my best to keep separate what I think Toriyama is going for versus what my personal interpretation is.
This idea is, guys, that streaming to no one or a very small number of people makes me feel embarrassed and cringe. Let me tell you, streaming to a large number of people will also make you feel embarrassed and cringe.
Fans finding their own meaning is fine. But there's nothing more obnoxious than someone who insists their pet theory is the only valid interpretation. In other words, keep your head canon out of my timeline. And if you're doing the heavy pencil lifting to fill in gaps to support your theory, at least be cognizant of it. For example, I've never felt that Goku becoming more merciful as he grows older is intended character development. As I've said before, I feel the character tends to be written for whatever's expedient to the story, which leads to him coming across as somewhat inconsistent. Many fans have filled the gap by stating that training with God is what taught Goku not to kill his opponents. Prior to that, he seems to have no issue ending lives, but after that point, he shows mercy on a recurring basis. Until he doesn't.
Also, Royenthal Blues, I don't know what my favorite year for movies is, because I don't really know what movies I like. It's been so long since I've seen any of the movies I really like that aren't new, that I haven't just sat down to watch an old movie in maybe years, unless it was something I hadn't seen yet. But I rewatching something I liked, it's just been so long. I don't know.
There is no evidence in either version of the story to even remotely suggest that Goku's training had anything to do with ethics. In fact, Goku has to stop God from killing Ma Jr. But by inventing such an idea, those two disparate reactions from Goku suddenly make sense. Again, if you see it that way, that's fine. But you are having to do some of the writing to get there. If an idea successfully comes through in the story, even if it's an accident, that's great. But when what's explicitly in the text starts fighting against that reading, that's when I become hesitant to give it too much credit. I don't at all think Gotenks is intended to be a cautionary tale, nor do I think the Boo arc is intended to demonstrate that the next generation needs to get their act together, or that the previous generation neglected to instill proper values. If it is, it kind of fails at it, given that the idea never actually goes anywhere, with one tiny possible exception at the...
Well, they don't win, so I think it does kind of... He might be right that you have to do some internal writing to make it like fully connect, but I just think that's kind of always true. Especially with something as like, I want to use the word Wagnerian as Dragon Ball Z. Long, distended.
The very end. The kids never learn a lesson. Goku steps back into his usual role, and the status quo of who the hero guy is largely reset to what it was before Cell. The message ends up reading as, "It's time for the next generation to take over," and never mind, who cares?
Yeah.
It's very awkward to shrug that off the way the story does. It's not an intended message, but it very clearly comes across that way. The idea of this story passing off to the next generation is undeniably all over the text, but the whole concept just awkwardly fizzles rather than...
I really do think, if my read on this, Toriyama wanted to draw like funny kids, because Dr. Slump was about a funny kid and Dragon Ball was about a funny kid, and through the course of creating so much Dragon Ball and like growing this character as far as he could take it, but then not being able to retire the character, it's like, well, where do you take them? I guess adulthood. Well, as an adult, he could have a funny kid. And it's like every time he tries to make the funny kid the center point of the story, it just doesn't work because everyone loves Goku too fucking much. Because they grew up with Goku. They see themselves as Goku, or they see Goku as somebody who is supposed to stay in front of them and keep motivating them. And so they don't want to regress back to the kid. But Toriyama doesn't want to write about being an adult. He wants to write about funny kids, you know? I think he was trapped by the fact that he probably would have wanted a new generation to be getting into his stories, but the old generation still felt like they were kind of owed this debt, you know, of the story's continuation. And like, I think we've seen the opposite of what happens when a story refuses to do this with Pokemon, where Pokemon didn't let its characters grow up and instead just kept nonsensically rebooting to try to appeal to kids forever. And it did lose a lot of its core base, but it got them back elsewhere because Pokemon was never enough about the anime. It was never enough about like one unified story. It was always about the multimedia aspect. It was about the Pokemon first and foremost, and always about more than one of them. Even though Pikachu is unquestionably like the Goku of Pokemon, like there are a lot of popular Pokemon. There's not a ton of super, like there's like 5 or 6 really popular Dragon Ball characters, you know, Bulma, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo. Like, is there another one who's on the same level as them? I don't know. I don't think there's another one that's as popular as most. Well, I won't say most Pokemon. There's a lot of fucking Pokemon, but like there's a solid 10, 20, 30 Pokemon that I think qualify as being about that famous. My mom can name hundreds of Pokemon because she plays Pokemon Go obsessively. My mom knows more fucking Pokemon than I do at this point. You know, anyway, I'm rambling.
Carrying through. And we haven't even gotten to poor Gohan yet. Contrast that to Vegeta, whose through line in this arc will reach a purposeful conclusion by the end of the story. Yes, I'm using Vegeta as a positive example. I really don't have a furious grudge against him. Ultimately, my appreciation of this unintended moral works for me in the same way the fight itself
Ririko, you're right. This is the best benefit of JoJo's, and I think JoJo just the fact that it was baked into the story almost from the beginning was a huge benefit. Like, I would even like I was a little disappointed when I found out that that each part was actually even more distinct than I thought in the beginning. Because when I first heard of JoJo's, it was 6 parts were out, and like I had been under the impression that it was all going to be about fighting Dio. Like, it kind of a lot of it is, but it's it's a little more to it. Because I just thought, oh, it's like this generational conflict with this evil that'll never go away, and that's kind of true. But there's a lot more. And now that I know more of what actually is there, I think it is interesting. But yeah, I think that just always having that as like part of the concept is that it's going to be this generational battle helped that manga a lot to stay interesting, and obviously it's still going.
does, in isolation. Just like how the fight itself is fun, funny, and short enough for me to overlook how ultimately useless it is, the idea intrigues me enough in isolation that I can, in just its own context, overlook how the story ultimately does not bear it out to any satisfying degree. Like so much of the Boo arc, it's a fascinating nugget that goes nowhere. To be clear, I'm not dinging the story for not being what I interpreted it to be. It can be whatever it wants. But like with the temple's forgotten defenses, I want the storytelling choices to be made with a sense of purpose. I want established ideas to pay off, not simply fill time or look cool before being discarded for the next cool thing. That the Boo arc doesn't follow through on my idea isn't a problem. That it doesn't follow through to anywhere is. But while Goku's lofty ambitions with fusion appear to be a complete waste, I'm sure all the time we've spent establishing Gohan in the Kaioshin realm won't suffer from the same problem. After all, to abandon one ultimate power-up may be regarded as a misfortune. To abandon both looks like carelessness. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There are still plenty of charmingly meaningless ways for Gotenks to fail that we haven't even seen yet. And with that, we come to Dragon Ball Dissection December. Yes, every year I do a month-long marathon of Dragon Ball Dissection videos, one for every week. This year we will be continuing, or possibly even concluding, our look at the Boo arc as well as DBZ Movie 12. If you've wanted to help out, this is the best...
Like, am I wrong in thinking this dude has like hundreds of videos about this?
Time to support the channel on Patreon. Not only do you get 5 videos early if you're in the early access tier, I'm also doing another contest.
I appreciate
At the end of the DBD December celebrations, I'm giving away a copy of Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater, and it's only for patrons. Stay tuned. December's first video will have all the details.
I'm excited to record that.
I look forward to spending December with you and our beloved...
I forgot you. Oh, you're right, Amy. I did forget you. You're in line too. I forgot that your thing wasn't just some sort of esoteric meme, but in fact, you did want me to read your prologue. Okay, this is 8 pages. Okay. It's in big text, though, so I don't think it's going to take that long, actually. Let's see. It's 3,500 words. This will take like 10 minutes. Okay. The Lady's Blood prologue. Yeah, I still have this full screen. Falcon Shan fell as if her blood was thickening, sending waves through her that matched the vibrations of a nearby spirit. It had arrived of its own accord, unsummoned. She wondered if that was an omen, and if so, of what. Her curiosity grew the more she sensed it, the more she realized it was nothing like any spirit she had ever connected with. It was nearly unreachable, and that made her frustrated. She did not have trouble communicating with spirits since she was 8, the most talented shaman the Shan tribe had ever seen. Yet whatever it was that lingered around her tent, that long-dead spirit that seemed to notice it was dead yet did not care about it, was far beyond her. I'm assuming you're saying not since she was 8. But you didn't say how old she is now, so... I at first thought you were saying because she is 8, she does not have trouble communicating with the spirits. I don't think that's what you meant, though. Falk took a deep breath, decreasing her heartbeat. The spirit still lingered. Spirit, they're gone. Spirit, they've vanished. Sorry. But it was now the one who watched in curiosity. Its spectral form, that she could only see with closed eyes, was almost too human to be a spirit, yet it clearly wasn't another shaman spirit walking. If the spirit form looked too much like the physical body, the real spirits would never get close, and any shaman worthy of its name knew that. Interesting, said the spirit, its voice distant but clearly male. You are so close to the spirit world that your soul is nearly falling through it. Do you not fear that it could kill you? Falk drew her spirit back in an instant, seeing 1,000 worlds in the retreat. She blinked back to her flesh and stumbled on her tent. The spirit was nowhere to be seen. Her heart was beating painfully against her chest. Falk was suddenly sweating. She had never even considered that spirit walking could kill her. It left her real body vulnerable, of course, but to be so grounded in the spirit world it could sever the bond with her body? Impossible. The connection could only be cut from the side of the flesh. But who was that? It was someone who was in complete control of its soul. She had met multiple spirits that had not realized they were dead. Most disappeared as soon as that truth was made clear. But that man was able to create a portal to the spirit world, then from it to her mind. How? Who? Where's my... I realize I don't have my chat here anymore. Hey, Manny Muskets. There we go. I can just scroll to the side. Now I got both. Where the fuck was I? Here we go. He was some sort of spirit. He had to be. She did not know which type, but it could not have been a spirit walker. That would require several times the talent she had, or hundreds of years of practice. Unheard of. Falk closed her eyes, trying to enjoy the deep herbal scent swirling inside her tent. She would try to spirit walk again later that night. Would the spirit have already gone away, indifferent to her? Or would it still be drifting around? Her talent was not something easily stumbled upon, and that the spirit had clearly understood. She hoped it was the latter, that his soul was so deep in the spirit realm no shaman had ever managed to reach him, and that he would now want to speak with her at every opportunity. Falk then remembered the infectionless voice and realized that was probably wrong. He said that she was interesting, but there was no emotion to his words. He was simply stating a fact. Her sudden withdrawal to this world had answered the spirit's question. She did fear it could kill her. If that was all the dead man wanted to know, then he would have resumed his journey by now, to somewhere for some purpose. Falk sighed and got up, feeling her muscles stiff, a consequence of spirit walking that she had not felt with such intensity for years. There was more to do today. She wasn't planning to spirit walk that early until the presence's arrival forced her. Pulling a deer hide over her shoulders, she walked off her tent. Off her tent? Falk greeted the first stars with surprise. Her brief contact took much longer than expected. Yellow Sinash and... It kind of sounds like a Yellow Flash. Sorry, it made me laugh for a second. Yellow Sinash and Blue Nahodon were already together in the deep black sky above, and it was her duty to wish them a good marriage, but the moon was shy that night. She bowed to the stars with her hands clasped together. Falk followed the bright torches to the center of the village and discovered they were waiting for her arrival. Yeah, Yellow Flash is canon here. He's the main bad guy. Falk followed the bright torches to the center of the village and discovered they were waiting for her arrival. With a scowl, Mathan Shan waved her to hurry up. Where have you been? I overslept. She was the youngest in the Shan Council and thus stayed at the far left of the line. The other 200 or so members of the tribe were gathered around in a poorly shaped circle, whispering to each other. Mathan Shan was to her right, and to his right, all of the village's sages from youngest to eldest. The ones that could still walk, that was. There was a council meeting planned for the night, but she knew nothing of an announcement to the whole tribe. Something had happened. All the voices died before Durasan Shan finished his first step towards the crowd. Surrounded by enough hides and furs to make him look twice as big, the 2 antlers on his shoulders waved as the elder opened his arms wide. People of my blood, he said in a voice that can only be described as dying. Urgren Ba has come to us this night with words that you must all hear firsthand. Duras and Shan stepped back, so he knows no one likes hearing him. Falk fought against a giggle, imagining the elder trying to give a long speech. Ergan and Ba stepped ahead and went down to both knees, as was proper when a member of another village talked in the presence of a council. He was even younger than Falk, perhaps a still-to-be blooded warrior, chosen because he was the fastest to deliver the message, not because of his name. That much was obvious to Falk. People of Shan above the river, low... Oh, wait, this is the guy speaking, right? Yeah, okay. People of Shan above the river, lowlanders are climbing the mountain as we speak. They plan to launch an attack by dawn. The people of my blood have sent messengers to every tribe in the mountains they can reach. We need your help. Falk could almost feel the fear that swept across her tribe. It was clearly a matter of life or death if Ergan Anba went straight to the point, and most should be realizing that by now, if the elder of Ba was so desperate... No, that was the elder. God damn it. It was because he already expected to lose the battle, and Shan was one of the highest standing tribes in the Hal Mountains. That means there are enough to reach us. How many lowlanders? Falk asked, drawing attention from the council. It was not her time to speak, but thankfully Ergan Anba ignored that. Over 2,000, Sage. That was enough for the rest of the council to forget her lack of respect. 3 tribes were wiped out when 700 men climbed the mountains 15 years ago, back when Falk was just a child. How many days ago was this, Ergan Anba? Asks Duras Anshan. 3 days, elder. They have been preparing, says Duras, turning to someone in the crowd. Son, can you reach Naman before dawn? Twice. Then go. He was already running in the opposite direction before his father could give any more details. Math and Shan turned to her, his eyes so wide they seemed about to pop. Not even him reminded Falk of her place in the council, for crisis took precedence over tradition, or so her father had told her in his weird way of speaking. A man stepped ahead of the crowd. Lianan Shan's nimble silhouette was easily recognizable to everyone. Elders, do we take up arms and march down the river? Duras eyed the rest of the council, but it seemed none of them had anything to say. He faced Lian again. Yes, Bloodsword, you have full command of our fighting forces in the battle to come. Lian bowed to the council, eyed Falk for the briefest of moments, then turned away. Yes, you know I would rather fight. Math was staring down, a hand over his troubled eyes. 15 years of peace, Falk. Except when the tribes fought each other. Math leaned closer. We skirmish, yes. People commit crimes and kill each other over possessions. That has always happened, but 2,000 men! Falk grasped him by the shoulders and knew he was surprised by the strength of her grip. You think we are already dead. Math opened his mouth to say something, but closed it without a word. She could see the rest of the elders staring at them. A few moments later, with no answer coming, she noticed that Math was looking over her shoulders. Your parents, Falk. She released him, and Math took a deep breath. Hide, Math and Shan. With the elders, like how the council has always done. Oh, so ready to give their wisdom. We are sages because we survived longer, except that most of us were never fighters to begin with. From the look on his face, it seemed Math had understood something of what she was thinking. Unspoken words had many truths. She sighted her father and turned to meet him and her mother. Both old and grizzly, hunched down. Her father, once a great warrior and still a strong man for his age, now walked around carrying a useless leg behind him, his long braided beard wagging like a tail with each step. Did you just renounce your position in the council? Father asked. No. Why aren't you going with them? Mother asked. Falk looked over her shoulders, saw the sages leaving, no doubt going to the sages' cave, where only the council was allowed. I'm the only one from the council that is not too old to fight. Math and Shan? His child is soon to be born, beloved. Falk nodded, agreeing with her mother. He would think too much about that and not on the enemy. Come with me, daughter, please. There are children and elders that we need to take care of. I'm a blooded warrior, mother. You're a sage from the council, too. Go with them, please. Every single one of them hates me, mother. I'm a sage from the council because the Hal Mountains have never seen a shaman like me, but I am also a blooded warrior, and we are at war. Falk stepped closer to her mother, raised her hands to hold her cheeks. You used to do this to me, remember? I'll come back, he would say, and you always did. Weeping, her mother nodded. Father placed his hands on her shoulder and started guiding her to where the non-fighters were gathering. Falk locked eyes with her father for a long moment, neither of them saying a word. He turned away. No nod, no blink, no mouthed words. And she remembered another one of his sayings, the longest one. action brings finality. The rulers below the mountains stare at suffering and do nothing because that shows they are powerful. If you intervene in everything that comes your way, that shows your limitations. Falk turned to see Leon still waiting for her. Daggers in a spear? Daggers in a spear, Bloodsword. Unblinking stars above them, the Shan warriors marched downstream at the side of the river that marked the end of her people's land. Falk wondered how Ergen Anba knew the attack was planned for dawn. 10 paces ahead of her was the Bloodsword, Leonan Shan, the only warrior of the Shan tribe that carried a lowlander sword that he plucked from the body of a commoner he killed 15 years ago. Behind them, 100 men and women marched, but only half of that were warriors. The rest had volunteered. No torches were lit to signal their passing. They knew these lands like their own families and could travel in the dark just as well. The lowlanders did not understand what that meant and no doubt would light fires to give away their position. The descent was quiet, the only sounds that of their steps and the river's stream, until it gargled its last whisper and disappeared in a cave in the Shan borders. They stepped over their land. Not even 100 paces further, and the orange glow of fire was seen ahead. The Bloodsword did not even halt. Falk rushed to catch up with him. That is Naman. They are here already? I know, Falk. Ergran Anbal is a fool. The lowlanders must have asked for their surrender, said they would attack by tomorrow's dawn if they refused, and he actually believed them. Figures running up the trail to meet them, no torches light and dressed in Hal clothing. They allowed them to get closer. Shan? Shouted the man in the front, Bloodsword of the Shan. No time for that. The lowlanders are coming from the caves. Falk frowned. Caves? Which ones? The bomb ones. Falk and Leon stared at each other for a moment. That explains how they got so far so quick. The bomb must have surrendered. Who are you? No time for that. Who are you? The man sighed. Blood spear of the Naman, except my spear has been shattered by the enemy. Falk raised her spear to him. Halk and Naman, is it? Take this spear. I believe the Bloodsword wishes us to fight here. None of that. The fighting. I mean, you can take the spear. We drive them back to the cave mouth and hold them there. That's 3,000 paces from here, Bloodsword, Halk said. With 100 warriors. 100 Shan warriors, Falk, and it's not as if all 2,000 of them are in that cave. Falk nodded, went away to grab a new spear, and back to the front. Faint sounds of fighting, rising with each step until they reached the Naman tribe. Because it's happened a lot of times, I just want to say my biggest criticism of your writing in this particular thing here, Amy. Faint sounds of fighting rose with each step until they reached the Naman tribe. Like, there's a lot of these moments where you use like the wrong tense or just straight up skip a word. Like, there doesn't need to be a comma here. It should be faint sounds of fighting or were rising from the cave. Like, I don't get where the faint sound of fighting is rising from. I just know that faint sounds are rising as they are reaching the Naman tribe. Like, how would I rewrite this? As they approached the Naman tribe, they could hear the faint sounds of fighting. Like, I feel like there's always a slightly more direct way of saying the sentence. And like the way you're saying it often sounds like somewhat like it's rushing ahead of itself. Like the text is rushing ahead of the point it's trying to make. Like almost like you want the sentence to be shorter and faster instead of more complete. But that makes it so I always feel like I'm not fully developing the image in my head. Like I always kind of have a gist of what's going on. And in particular, when the characters are talking, it gets really hard to tell who's talking because there's not a lot of like, he said, she said, you know, like it's, I don't know who I'm meant to assume is talking at a given time a lot. So I'm just kind of like, okay, well, someone said this. I guess they're all on the same page by the end of the conversation, whatever, you know, like I understand what's happening holistically, but I don't understand what each person understands. Like, I don't understand why they're having these conversations. Like, why does this person know this and that person doesn't? And sometimes I can't tell who's talking. So that's part of why, you know? You don't have to worry that much about the names here. I kind of figured. I figure most of these people are just going to die, and so most of this isn't terribly important to know. But that also kind of makes me wish you just hadn't named them at all. Like, just given them, like, a tall man or, like, the one with the blue eyes. Because I'd remember that. I will never remember the Aqua Woo Woo versus, you know, the Man Bagongo. Like, they're all going to sound like nonsense to me. But, like, if they had even as much as, like, something that would make them comparatively different from one another, like, I'm just going to imagine them as basically all the exact same person. Like, right now in my head, they're all just wearing, like, a green cape, you know, like in Attack on Titan or something. Like, I'm just picturing a bunch of people running around in a green cape, and they've got, like, a spear, and they all got goofy names. You know, like, that's the level of imagination I've reached, because I don't know who any of these people are. One of them's a girl. Some of them are old or young. Her parents are very old. Anyway. Until the blood sword was done with the others and threw himself in the midst of the men she had wounded, his lowlander blade flashing as fast as a dagger. Wait, did I skip something? Yeah, I skipped something. Hold on. I skipped a couple. I was here. Faint sounds of fighting rising with each step until they reached the Naman tribe. Orders being shouted in lowlander tongue and skirmishes being fought around the center of the tribe. Gatherings of 20 or so Naman being surrounded by thrice their number. Yeah, see, all that's like just a little bit tense. It's confusing. And it's not even that the tent, like, it could be orders were being shouted in lowlander tongue and skirmishes were being fought. Or it could be orders are shouted without even the being. Orders are shouted in lowlander tongue while skirmishes are fought around the center of the tribe. You know, gatherings of 20 or so Naman are surrounded by thrice their number. The Shan rushed in, being noticed too late by the distracted enemy. Falk's spear darted forward, surprising a lowlander with its speed, who died with an alarmed face as the spearhead ripped through his throat. She buckled down as the enemy turned to meet them, scoring wounds in legs and thighs, driving the flanking enemy away virtually alone. See, all that was perfect. Until the blood sword was done with the others and threw himself in the midst of the men she had wounded, his lowlander blade flashing as fast as a dagger. When he was done, he looked up and shouted his loudest war cry. Turning back, Falk saw that they had released the crowded Naman with minimal losses, and they now joined with the Shan to rush against the enemy. Their way of fighting clearly confused the lowlanders, each warrior holding off against as many as he dared, surprising the lowlanders for a moment. Then they closed in to try and swarm them, only to come back bloodied. Whoever happened to deal with theirs first would then flank the closest group to either side. She saw the blood sword using a... Sounds like you're describing, playing Dynasty Warriors. She saw the blood sword using a fallen man's clothing to wipe away the gore and fat of his blade after each engagement. Falk had no time to do the same for her spear when a shouting lowlander approached. Spacing her legs and turning, she thrusted forward. The spear caught the man in his stomach with the full weight of her body behind the blow, all 70 pounds of that little girl, forcing him to draw to a halt. The shaft of her spear bent, then snapped. She dashed forward, hitting his head with the staff that was left in her hands, then threw away to draw a dagger, burying it deep in the side of his neck. The man stumbled down, a pool of blood and urine forming beneath him. Falk was suddenly aware of the foul smell of piss and shit. I mean, she said she killed somebody before, right? She knew about this. Surprised by her mind's ability to ignore it, she backed away, looking for another spear to resume her killing. All at once, the lowlanders were retreating. They had been too spread out when they had first engaged, taking their time crowding and having fun with the outnumbered Naman, and the Shan had taken care of most of them before the rest could form into a cohesive force. Falk judged they had killed 200 by now. "Chase!" the blood sword shouted, a severed helmed head slipping away from his blade when he pointed it forward. That's fun. He then screamed a war cry again. Falk answered with her own ululating cry, followed by other Shan and Naman as they pursued the fleeing lowlanders. Falk is in her mid-20s, but I understand why you'd think she's younger. I mean, I just assume all women are weigh nothing. Like, how tall is she? I guess is what really matters. Like, if she's like 5 feet tall, she might legitimately be 70 pounds as an adult. Anyway, 3,000 paces, Falk had said, and it seemed he was right. Falk took her time to rest, slowing her pace during the pursuit. They could still see the enemy silhouettes, and the bravest of the Hal tribesmen were still drawing closer to skirmish with them. Hearing approaching footsteps crunching the gravel underfoot, she turned to see the Bloodsword. His features were unclear in the dark now that the burning Naman tribe's light couldn't reach them, but Falk could tell he was drenched in blood. This was your first time engaging with that many lowlanders. What do you think? Their chained armor is good against daggers, but most allowed me to reach their necks with my spear easily. Right, that armor is made to fight against people who fight like them. Rows upon rows of stationed soldiers, companies specialized in different tasks. Against us and divided like that, they were only thinking about surviving, even if alone. And how would you know all of that, Lianan Shan? She decided not to voice her concerns. Unlike the elders, she actually respected the Bloodsword. You need a blood name. It's obvious you would have been Blood Spear if I hadn't even taken the title and bended it. When this is done, give me a blood name then. She couldn't ask for one. It had to be given, but Falk had already proven she was deserving of one. From up ahead, someone shouted, "We're almost at the cave mouth." "They're retreating through the cave." The Bloodsword opened his mouth to shout. Multiple sounds ahead, swishing as if cutting the air, and the entire front row of Shan fell, arrows jutting from their torsos and faces, a man crawling away with an arrow in his thigh. An order in Lowlander tongue, then two followed. On the third one, the arrows cut the air again, coming from the cave mouth. Falk had bent down and ran to the side with the Bloodsword, yet a third rain of arrows came, even though there was no one to hit. Another order after the arrows only hit the ground, and then no more came. "They're firing blind," said the Bloodsword. "They adapted." Falk leaned closer to Leon. "The ground area is gravel. They will hear it if we try to approach. We wait." A flame sparked to life in the dark. Falk saw the silhouette of a man holding the torch to his side, and where it touched another bright spot was born. Disbelieving, she stared as a ring of torches formed around them, a bigger number concentrating in the cave mouth, but she could not see how many were down there. "They had 15 years to prepare," growled the Bloodsword, getting up. "And we can't see that well in the dark." Falk got up and followed him. There was enough light for them to see what was left of the Shan and Naman, perhaps half of the force that they started with. Most of those who had died to the arrows were experienced blooded warriors. They were now left with mainly volunteers. Kicking something with her steps, Falk saw a spear, and they really fucking fell for this one. Falk saw a spear. She raised her own high and threw it in the direction of the cave mouth, smiling when a shriek of pain answered. She grabbed the one at her feet and prepared to bleed some more. The Lowlanders came as ants, swarming a failing prey. The Bloodsword stepped ahead of her, and for a moment he was an unmovable boulder, parrying with his sword and not missing a single opportunity to strike back. Falk did her best to match up to him, her posture low, reaching for shins to keep half a dozen men away, slicing across or through a neck whenever one of them stepped too close, feeling the strain on her shoulder from so many thrusts. Hearing the same repeated orders in Lowlander tongue again, both drew back. The arrows caught the Hal on the left, most being absorbed by the new warriors of the night. But when the second wave came, there was little between them. An arrow caught Falk in the left shoulder, spinning her around. Snarling, she tried to cut one last Lowlander, but the spear was met by a raised arm. A boot caught her in the side of the head, and she saw the blinking stars. Well, all right. Everybody died, I assume, except for her. Yeah, I'm going to agree that definitely this could definitely be refined in a few ways. I would say cut down the number of different characters who are like mentioned. Maybe have someone who's like a clear, like at the end here, you've kind of got this guy, the Bloodsword, who's like her ally, who goes in and like, you know, is being a badass, but where was he for most of it? You know, like I feel like introducing him a little earlier and maybe a little less of all this stuff. This whole interaction seemed kind of useless. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, most people died. Everybody died is a very Amy way of ending a chapter. Amy seems to have a thing about writing about tribes and people getting shot with arrows, and everybody died for sure. I'll say this did not appeal to me as much as your newer stuff. I think you've just gotten better at writing in all of the important ways. Like, it's not that it's better or worse of a story. Like the underlying story is kind of similarly like, okay, there's tribes, doing like normal stuff tribes would be doing. Like it's very, very grounded. In both cases we got like a warrior chick. She's got some kind of reason she's the most talented in her tribe, and she's gonna go beat everybody's ass, call everybody bub. Yeah, all the spirit realm stuff at the start also didn't really come up again, did it? Manny just pointed out, I'm confused as spirit realm relates. I'd legitimately forgotten about all that. Like, this started off really like a heady and metaphysical and spirit realm stuff, and none of that came up again. So that was a little weird. I'm sure it comes up again in the story after this prologue, but I think as an individual prologue, it kind of, it leaves you feeling like, wait a minute, I forgot that stuff even happened by the time I was done with the chapter. Because it wasn't really relevant yet. There wasn't enough room for more spirit stuff in this prologue. I think that means you got to rearrange it. Like, I don't know, the order that you introduce the information definitely matters. I think if the spirit stuff has to be it, like, why does this have to be at the front of the story if it's not going to matter right away? Like, it feels like I don't know. Like, I'm thinking about like the Chekhov's gun idea, right? But like in the terms of that, like the Chekhov's gun is a gun that's in the background. It's in the background at first, and then it comes to the foreground. This is in the foreground, and then it goes to the background, but it's not visibly in the background. Like, it's not still sitting there. It's not like, and it would only be as much as like taking something right here when there's the reveal of the cave that suggests that like something spiritual was involved in why this happens. Like, if there's just any hint of like that the spirit realm, that her interaction with the spirit realm has something, maybe even it's why she survives, It's more like you're meant to forget about it. I don't know if I like that. You won't get an answer to why it's there for 500-ish pages. Oh. So you really wanted people to forget about it. You just needed it to exist at some point so that people wouldn't be tripping when it came back? Or like... Okay, well, I assume I'll understand this better when we've been able to read more of your story. For now, I need to know what Royenthal wanted to watch. If he's still awake and here to watch. Let me go back and see if I can find... Oh, jeez. I haven't had the best experience with therapists. I got sent to an inpatient unit against my will. She misrepresented what I said, and I was under house arrest for 5 days. That sucks. Yeah, fucking, I don't trust any of that stuff, any of that industry either, based on any interactions I've had. Vid request that anime snob. If you want freedom, you are trans. Anime semantics number 19. Critical Moisture versus Sneeko. These are all recent vids. Then his Fooly Cooly overview. Oh my gosh, this is like more than one. Then I'm guessing they're on the shorter side. Okay. Oh, I guess I don't need to leave this Gotenks video open. Okay. If you want freedom, you are trans. I mean, I like the sound of that. Chainsaw. Oh my God. Okay.
Chainsaw
12
Man
days
speaks
ago.
so closely to so many trans people, such as myself. And it all starts with
Wow, she's cute. Why are all the other trans girls cuter than me? This sucks.
one man, Tatsuki Fujimoto. He just kind of acts like he's living the life of a little girl. Huh. Interesting. Fujimoto started his
Hey, wait, that was me. What the fuck? Oh, wait. Snob probably did that edit, right?
writing career writing one-shots, like this one, titled Woke Up as a Girl Syndrome, Living the Life
Snob can't even talk about other trans girls without bringing me up.
of a Little Girl. Huh. Being trapped in a body that he doesn't belong in, being treated differently by his peers, and as a result, feeling differently about himself. Huh. If that's not a story allegory about a transgender man, I don't know what is. A character named Togata is introduced. He is a transgender man, canonically, which means that he is forever trapped in a female body. There are a fucking ton of themes that transgender people, especially youth, can empathize with and relate to. In the world of Chainsaw Man, LGBTQ plus identities are pretty normalized. Denji begins to
Gary says, you could be cute. I've seen you cute. Pluck your eyebrows, put a little makeup, and go far. You don't understand. I'm not going to do that. So that's why it's you. Yeah. So you're not quite understanding what I'm saying.
series trapped. He's not happy with his accomplishments or really himself. He's become so
When I look at people who are cute, all I think about is how much money they have. That's it. I don't think like, oh, that person's cute. They are like naturally I think, damn, why am I so broke?
used to the absolute worst that the slightest things that most people would consider normal are like incredible to him. I think that trans people can kind of relate to that feeling. Most cis people don't spend time thinking so in depth about their gender identity, right?
Like, look, I cannot afford to have 2 Blahages and a Sylveon. That's just above my pay grade.
They don't get this sense of relief or euphoria when their identity is affirmed in even the simplest of ways. He's just a dog. I don't always feel like people treat me as human, and usually in large part because of my transgender identity. One of the most recent chapters is about a character offering to chop Denji's dick off. Yeah, that's gonna be popular amongst trans people. Denji is in pain. Real, genuine pain.
Yeah, where does Anime Stop come into this video,
With
actually?
himself. He blames his own body, his own sexual urges, and his own. He wants to escape from that strict grasp of the male body on his essence, crying out for help. I think these elements of really wanting to be free from yourself, free from your gender expectations, is something that a lot of trans people can really, really relate to. I believe that it's also what drags trans people to the
He
story.
hasn't
Whether
said
it's our
a
own
single
bodies or
word in this
societal
video.
expectations, gender roles, whatever. I think a lot of trans people want to be free from all of that.
Clipping all of that and just leaving the audience to like that Anime Snob is presenting this to his audience with the assumption that they will see it and just think this is patently ridiculous. How can you say that these things are trans things? But he doesn't say that. He just shows the video. So it's like, I feel like I just got signal boosted to you. I would have never seen this video. I had never heard of that girl. Never seen this discourse. I'm not caught up on Chainsaw Man. And now I'm completely convinced that Chainsaw Man is about being trans because of that Anime Snob video. Was that the intent? I don't think so. I don't think that was like the whole video. I assume that was like heavily edited. All right, Anime Semantics 19. Holy moly.
Somebody defended the tranny.
Okay,
who
at
said
least this one actually has Snob fucking talking in it. It's actually in that anime Snob video.
that the Chainsaw Man is all about being trans because it mentions freedom, as if a freedom can be nothing.
All right, let's actually read the comment that he's responding to. M. Blewett says, bro, all this video means is that the themes of freedom are open-ended and many people from all walks of life can relate in some way. It's focusing on the trans comparison specifically, but so what? Stories are supposed to be relatable, and this is an example of it working as intended because she has different circumstances but can connect to the human struggle regardless. To which Giorno Joestar 3214 says, freedom does not equal self-insertion. If you need to see someone you like in a story to make you feel better, you should seek a professional as soon as possible. Giorno, why is it always with these people jumping straight into you need psychological help? It's never just like, maybe reassess the way that you approach media. Maybe you should expand your horizons a little bit. It's always like, if you think that it's cool that experience in a show relates to you, seek help. What the fuck? Why is it's not that big a fucking deal?
Beyond being trans.
It always reads to me like this person needs help. Like when I wish people thought so much harder about the specific words they use to insult people online, because it always reveals what you're insecure about or what you're like worried is, or what's going on with you. You know, like there's an infinite number of insults you can choose, an infinite number of angles you could approach to attacking someone's insecurity. And whenever somebody just kind of jumps straight to like, you should seek professional help, it's like, okay, why is that on your mind? Like, is that something you're dealing with? Someone you know is dealing with? Like, do you have experience in this? Like, what drives you to use these words? And I don't think it's always obvious or like straightforward. It often is. But, you know.
Is One Piece about being a tranny? So this guy excuses it with a Digibro school of thought. It's a...
Amy says, also, she specifically said that trans... God, he cannot fucking keep my entity off his fucking mind. She specifically said that trans people can relate to the dick cutting mentioned in Chainsaw. She did not say that Denji himself is trans, but they are too dumb to realize that, which is hilarious when this clip is about semantics. Indeed.
Piece of paper that can be interpreted however the hell you want to. Freedom can be about anything, including...
Why is this my thing? I've never said this. My take on media analysis has never been anything can mean anything you want it to mean. That has never been my take. I'm the authorial intent person. I'm the one who goes and studies the author's entire catalog in order to understand what I think they mean. I'm the one who is like, everybody keeps saying that these shows are Shinbo shows, but actually these shows aren't Shinbo shows, because if you go watch Shinbo's anime from the 90s, you'll see that he consistently uses these things that sometimes show up in shows that Shaft has done that are made by Shinbo, but actually, if you analyze the whole breadth of the staff of the Shaft, like, I am not Little Miss Everyone's definition matters. I don't care about most people's interpretations, and I think they're dumb. Where is this? How did this become the Digibro method? What the fuck is he talking about?
Being trans. That is a self-defeating claim of relativism. If there is no meaning beyond the meaning you give it, then what's the point in having definitions at all? Furthermore, if you have convinced yourself that the only meaning that
the point of definitions is to make communication between people easier.
Matters is the one you give to something, then the only thing you can see is yourself being projected on everything. Everything has to be about you, your political agenda, and sexual orientation, and degenerate fetishes, since you're the only one who matters when giving a definition to everything.
Most cis people don't spend time thinking so in depth about their gender identity, right? They don't get this sense of relief or euphoria when their identity is affirmed in even the simplest of ways.
You think you're the center of the universe and everybody else must kowtow.
Hold on, let me go back a little bit. What is he
The only thing
trying
you
to say?
can see is yourself being projected on everything. Everything has to be about you, your political agenda, and sexual orientation, and degenerate
Not everything, just the stuff that obviously is. When you've got a trans character in the manga and you've got a story about cutting your dick off, fucking how much more trans could it possibly fucking be? It's not a far-flung. We're not going around saying fucking Boardwalk Empire is a trans show. It's
fetishes, since you're the only one who matters when giving a definition to everything.
Most cis people don't spend time thinking so in depth about their gender identity, right? They don't get this sense of relief or euphoria when their identity is affirmed in even the simplest of ways.
You think you're the center of the universe and everybody else must kowtow before you.
How did any of what she said there connect to what he is saying here? She said most cis people don't get a sense of relief from gender affirmation. Okay. And then he said, you think you're the center of the universe. What? What? She said, I don't think cis people get this experience. Oh, you're the fucking center of the universe. How are these two statements related to each other?
Center of the universe and everybody else must kowtow before you, even if from their perspective they also have definitions of their own and they also see themselves projected onto everything. This is why the left self-destroys so easily. It's selfish people trying to control other selfish people. You can never reach.
Where's the control? Who's trying to control what? She said, I think this Chainsaw Man thing is relatable to trans people. And he's like, you're trying to control me. How? Like, what's the threat?
Reason with them because they don't care about your reason, they only care about their reason. A few days ago, Mr. Beast fired one of his assistants for having cyber sex with children.
You don't have to lie to make it worse than it already is. She had inappropriate messages with minors in Discord. I don't know if she was having cyber sex with children, but I mean, it's still bad. Also, she was his best friend, not just his assistant. Literally Mr. Beast's childhood friend in all of the videos, like number 2 personnel, basically. Obviously, Mr. Beast knew about this. I hate these fucking people.
And every tranny out there yelled about discrimination because having cyber sex with children was given the definition of being trans, and everyone who doesn't like cyber sex with children is a transphobe. Pure insanity, right? Not.
No. Fuck these two people. Fuck Snob. Fuck all of this. None of this has anything to do with Chainsaw Man. This is just Snob's I hate trans people rant of the fucking week.
If you're a progressive, you can give any definition you want to anything and then change it in an instant for.
Nobody thinks this. No one on the progressive side thinks this. There's actually a shocking lack of moral relativism on the left. Like on the real left, they're not very relative about morals. Actually, they're pretty fucking staunch about morals on the left. They're like the least morally relativistic people I can think of are like hard left people. They're like, if you don't agree with my morals, I actually think you should die. That's like most of them.
For the sake of being always right. That is the result of not accepting specific definitions that have nothing to do with your political agenda or sexual orientation or degenerate fetishes. You become insane and without realizing it, you defend pedophilia. What's that? A tranny was fired for wanting to have sex with children? Why, that's transphobia. Would you say that if the criminal wasn't a tranny? Of course not. Only
My
trannies
God, he's
like
repeating himself in a video that's less than 3 fucking minutes long.
me are allowed to do that. And what's that? Denji wants freedom in Chainsaw Man? Why, that means he's a tranny like me. And no word about Denji also being sexually
She never even said he was trans.
molested by older women. which is the reason that Shiny was fired in the first place. Pure insanity. That's what you...
Wait. He's complaining that she didn't pick the edgier thing to relate to from the story. He's like, you should have been able to relate to this story, just not for the reasons you said. Should have been able to relate to it because you're a terrible person, like the terrible characters, not a good person, like the good characters.
you get when you don't accept objective definitions, which are the basis of gold standards, which are the indicators of quality.
No, it is a drawing that can be interpreted however the fuck you want to. I mean, it can be. It doesn't mean anyone else has to agree with it or care what you have to say about it. I don't care about other people's opinions. I don't try to control anyone's opinions. I think you should have the opinions you have, and I should never have to hear them because you're a fucking moron. It's not like everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to eat a fucking brick. But what am I going to stop you from having an opinion? How? Oh my god. Ugh. Do they have free speech in Greece? Do they understand that? Do they have like a First Amendment right in Greece? Ugh. Hey, Musket said, Lamau, I just rewatched the shit-talking anime YouTubers for 30 minutes rant, and he's repeating himself in a vid that's not even 3 minutes long as a criticism shows how little's changed. My attention span. I have ADHD, and my expectation of media is that it's going to meet the needs of my ADHD. The nice thing about streams is that they're like inherently tense. So even if I'm not talking like that quickly, there's still a sense of like, what's she gonna say? What is it just gonna suddenly end? You know, like, is the microphone gonna make that fucking noise? Was that the last one we were watching from that? Royenthal? Oh man. That video, both of those videos were some of the worst snob content I've seen in a while. I know we watched a couple that I didn't hate like a few weeks ago, where like I kind of agreed with some of the points he was making, and I just hated the structure of the video. But in this one, it was first a video that was literally just clips from someone else's video with no argument against them. So it just seemed like he was agreeing with them almost. And then another video where he talks past all the points that were being made and just rants about how much he hates the left for reasons that don't make any fucking sense. Leftists are not trying to... They're not trying to use moral relativism to tell you that you can't have a take. That doesn't even make sense. Like, he's trying to say that they're trying to control everyone's take by allowing everyone to have a take. That just doesn't make sense. His Fooly Cooly overview. All right. This one, number 42.
Fooly Cooly is a very polarizing show since its point is not obvious. If you take it at face value, it will seem like a wacky action comedy of complete randomness. If you look for themes, you will find a lot of symbolism, but nothing will seem coherent or developed. A female alien beating an Earth boy with a guitar so stuff will sprout out of its head in an attempt to find her lover king or something is there as an excuse to have something happening to some people that have something to do with sexuality.
Kon Karaage. It's like reading a Sankaku article. It's not even a loser POV, but it's as absurd as if it was written by a bot. I haven't seen the name Sankaku in such a long time. That's why I had to stop and read that. Like, I assume you mean Sankaku Complex. I forgot that was a thing. Surprised it's still a thing. That's what you're talking about, right? The old anime blog where it was like mostly just collections of cool porn.
And growing up and something erections, something figure it out.
Ellen remembers Sasankaku. I'm so happy we're all part of this same internet generation together, my friends.
Of yourself. The best way to approach Fully Cooley is by
The only people in the world I can ever have a real conversation with. They're all right here.
considering it an anime that makes sense by not making sense. And yes, that's one of the most overused excuses when it comes to bad characterization. What's that? The characters seem to be out of character? They are teenagers, they make mistakes, it's real and it happens all the time. The excuse Fully Cooley is using has to do with subverting expectations when it comes to coming-of-age story.
I fucking hate when people say stuff like this. The show's using an excuse of subversion. Says who? Was there a character who said, like, we're using this subversion as an excuse for, like, what do you mean? What do you mean they're using like, the fact that there is subversion in the show means that it is therefore meant to excuse some other perceived shortcoming? Like, no. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yes, that's another overused excuse people are using to make any show sound better than what it is. In case you want to believe this one is different.
He has a habit of like taking the ways that other people defend a show and then reading that as like what the author was trying to do. Like, oh, people defended this show by saying that it uses subversion to do this, and therefore that's what the intent was. And it's like, fucking, you have no idea. Like, just no idea what their intent was.
And he takes the premise of coming of age, also known as slice of nothing happens, and turns it into a slice of every freaking thing can happen. And just like with any good subversion, you get much more than what you usually expect. One could say.
I also figured out this is a positive or negative review. I think he likes Fully Cooley, right?
That the world is seen through the eyes of an insecure boy. Scary, bizarre, sexual, and illogical. It's what goes through the minds of every teenager, and thus the randomness helps us visualize their mentality. This part needs clarification, since in theory, almost every anime in existence is the same thing. I mean, what are school comedies, rom-coms, and harems doing, if not creating excitement out of the mundane? The big difference is, they don't take it up to 11. Whatever happens in an average anime doesn't seem to matter once it's over, either because it was never important to begin with, or the characters stop caring about it. Fully Cooley is about an alien invasion while everybody's hormone crazy. Everything seems super important, and the characters are treated as such. A big part of how this comes across to the viewer has to do with the minimalistic and experimental artwork, as well as the very fast-paced animation. Fully Cooley doesn't look polished, and obviously its visual fidelity feels dated after so many...
Doesn't look polished.
years. Yet because it's bursting with energy and color, it didn't age as badly as any other show which was basing its appeal simply on pretty colors. This part also needs clarification, since I constantly nag about pretty colors meaning nothing if the writing is not good, and Fully Cooley doesn't have much of a coherent plot. Why do you hate Bones anime when they...
How fucking hard is it to follow Fully Cooley's plot? Yeah, I get it. I get that not everybody fucking can process
There's no middle ground with Fully Cooley. Either you've seen it more times than your own asshole and haven't gone 6 hours galaxy-traveling criminal who wants to trap this planet-crushingly powerful alien spirit bird called Adamus and use it to probably conquer the galaxy or something. By beating sexually frustrated men over the head with a bass guitar, Haruko is able to open a sort of portal in their heads, which connects to a robot hangar or something inside of this big iron-shaped building where Adamus is currently in prison. She succeeds at freeing at least a part of Adamus inhabiting the body of a TV-headed robot in episode 1, but then, in an attempt to subdue him, she accidentally breaks the robot and the link to Adamus' power. However, it turns out that this kid Naota, whom she used to channel the robots in the first place, is actually kind of a badass when the chips are down, and this allows him to be a successful conduit for Adamus' power, so she kinda sorta teams up with him while constantly manipulating his emotions to keep him on track for her plans. Naota, meanwhile, is a pubescent boy who used to worship his baseball star older brother until said brother bailed to the US to become a baller, bagged blonde, and bombed out on his bay. With his dad being a lecherous otaku running a sleazy self-published local newspaper, his granddad a lazy retiree, and his teacher a sexually repressed mental child, Naota is left without a role model, distrusting the ignoble adults around him, and now having his image of his brother shattered by his apparent betrayal of Mamimi. In light of these constant disappointments with adults, along with a growing understanding of the fact that Mamimi is a deeply troubled girl who relied on his brother for emotional stability, Naota decides to try and man up to protect her, and begins looking down on all things he deems immature. In the meantime, his similarly minded classmate Ninamori, whose father the mayor is embroiled in an infidelity scandal with his secretary, news which Naota's father is the one gleefully spreading through the town, fabricates an illusion of maturity while childishly manipulating everyone around her to try and trick her parents into resolving their differences. In the end, she realizes realizes the immaturity of her actions, and off-screen has an honest, soul-bearing breakdown in front of her parents, leading them to at last talk their way to understanding. Having experienced this arc, Ninamori is able to recognize how it parallels what Naoto is going through, and that what he really needs is to just be honest with himself. Naoto takes longer to realize this, of course, and is caught up in a combination of his own out-of-control libido, his inability to comprehend Haruko's true intentions, and a misguided sense of duty towards protecting Nomimi beyond a point when she is no longer impressed with nor in need of him. Once he's taken his lumps, however, he learns from his mistakes and turns the tables on Haruko in a major way by deciding to be selfish, childish, and completely true to himself. In the end, he is able to take control of the situation, beat Haruko head-on, and free Adamus, saving the world, even though he knows that he'll be losing the thoroughly toxic love of his young.
You can't understand what I'm saying at this speed? It's hopeless. That was my old video explaining Fooly Cooly very quickly.
They're all doing the same thing, you Greek fat piece of shit. The big difference is Fooly Cooly is thematically very rich and doesn't overstay its welcome. It doesn't try to last for 26 episodes of constant photo epilepsy. Watching all the episodes at once is like a 2-hour movie with a satisfying aftertaste, instead of 10 movies worth of nothing to give two shits about besides the animation.
Why does this have a... I'm just realizing this. These are not in English. Spanish, Latin American Spanish.
Another plus is the characters who managed to grow
Does he always
beyond
have
stereotypes
subtitles
in a
in
short amount of time.
Spanish?
Individually, none of them is special, and they are all essentially horny idiots. Yet the way they interact amongst them creates a very specific chemistry that stands out without making you hate them. For example, the melancholy of Suzumiya Haruhi is often praised for also having characters who escape their stereotypes. Yet when you really think about what kind of people they are, you despise them. Haruhi is a horrible bitch, and Kion is a chauvinistic harem lead.
He's
Yet
not
another
wrong
plus is how the
about
show
any
is
of that.
neither preachy nor about escapism. Staying true to the vision of the once almighty Gainax, it is not trying to shove a message down your throat. Although superficially it's about growing up and taking responsibilities, it's also showing you how adults can be pretty mature as well. And the solution to all this mess is not getting a broken superpower, running away to some video game fairyland, or becoming the chosen one of the prophecy who is destined to save the universe with his complete lack of personality. Fooly Cooly is funny without overstaying its welcome. It's full of action and the characters treat everything as important. It deals with problems everyone is facing while growing up without spending too much time on couch philosophies. And it's still not everyone's cup of tea since the plot is all over the place and the sex jokes can become annoying regardless of being thematically relevant.
Okay, so that was like a positive. That was Snob basically saying, I don't understand this show, but fuck it, it's good, I like it. All right. I know I always say I don't like something that doesn't have a plot, and this doesn't have a plot, but hey, it's good. Sure, Snob. Checks out to me. Lucario, you and everyone else, we would all be friends with Snob if he wasn't such a fucking dick. And nobody really understands why he's like that. I think he just really doesn't want to have to change any aspect of himself. But the question is not like nobody's like, "Oh, you need to change." They're like, "But why are you like this though?" That's the confusing part. Lapusha said, "I watched an FD Signifier and you were mentioned in his anime video." I have actually just been I had not seen any of his content until like yesterday or the day before, but people kept telling me that I was mentioned in his latest big 3-hour video. So I did finally get the chance to watch it, and it was awesome. And I was, in fact, mentioned in it. Where in like
1 in 7 people in America are living with food insecurity.
So
I'm aware.
let me tell.
Somewhere in this area, the hereabouts. I can't even tell. It's very brief. But he mentions my opinion that the main reason people like Drake is that he's the #1 rapper. Like that people become Drake stans is not that they love Drake, but that they love whoever is #1. And he used that as part of the discussion. It was good, and I thought that was a great video. So I've watched a few more, and I will probably end up marathoning this whole fucking channel, even though these videos are very long. But they're good. They're worth it. playing on humanity. I think if I spoke to him, I would cry. You mean that anime snob? I'd cry fucking laughing, that's for sure. Snob has a way of making even the good stuff he likes it sounds trash. I really think he was trying really hard to be like, nah, guys, Fooly Cooly is totally good. I just can't explain why. Which is fine. You don't have to be able to explain why you like something. It's just funny to hear him be like quite so almost confused. Like he spent most of the video reminding us that he doesn't like shows with no plot, but that Fooly Cooly doesn't have a plot, but it's got good character chemistry and visuals. I don't know. That was an odd one. All right. We've completed all the requests. It's almost 1 a.m. I really need to go to bed. So I'm going to end this live stream tomorrow, 6 p.m. Fix Trixie. It's a call-in show. Contact me about your desire to call in at some point in the hour or two, the day, some point tomorrow. Contact me that you want to be on. Oh yes, raid. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. Raid. Oh my God, YMS is still live. Guess what, everybody? Oh right, I type /raid, right? Can I just like do it in his thing, or do I have to do it in my thing? I do all right. Get in there. Everybody get in there. See you later.